I'm sorry, yeah. I'm not sure what time it is, but we'll open the meeting.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, we'll open the meeting.
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes. We have minutes from August 8th.
One second, then.
I need a copy of my notes here. Wait a minute. No, I mean the minutes. You're asking the minutes to be approved?
Yes. From August 8th.
Yeah, I think they're running. Yeah, there's two sets,
Yeah,
one at
Two
11:30,
sets, which
Yeah.
set?
one at 11:30 a.m. and one at 5:30 p.m.
My motion would be to approve the minutes for both for August 8th, 2012.
I have an objection.
Okay.
The 11:30 meeting with the hearings.
Okay.
I absented myself from the hearings for personal reasons, and there's no notation on that.
Because I wasn't present when you did that. Jason has another set of meetings. This
Yes.
is from where I came in.
No, I have a set of minutes that I kept that I did not get to Karen just yet.
Okay, well, I don't want to approve this.
Okay. Do you want to hold the 11:30 ones then?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, then we
That's
can
fine.
wait till...
I can forward them to Karen. I meant to do that.
No problem with the meeting at 5:30.
I'll forward that to you, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we'll vote on them on the October meeting?
That's fine.
It's fine with me, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
So this is the schedule. Okay, our first item is special license request for the Easthampton Rod and Gun Club, the Easthampton Chamber of Commerce, and Northeast Center for Youth and Family. Do we have anybody speaking on that?
I don't have anyone from around the corner. So...
You don't have, there's no one there. Okay.
Sorry, which one are we doing here? The Rod and Gun?
The top?
Okay.
The Rod and
So
Gun.
there's no one here from the East Ham Rod and Gun?
No.
Eric Snyder, Executive Director.
Right, you're on for the chamber.
For the chamber.
Eric's next.
Okay. And here.
Okay, Chamber of Commerce?
Correct.
Yeah?
Date
Can you
and time?
tell us what you want, Eric?
Well, it's for wine and malt license for our third annual casino night to be held on Saturday the 6th of October, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's over at the Riverside Industries building.
6 p.m. to 11?
Yes, sir.
At where?
Riverside Industries, 1
Okay.
Cottage Street. This is our third annual event. It's a fundraiser.
I make a motion, we grant that.
I'll second that. I want the minutes to reflect that I'm giving a copy of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission advisory for one-day special licenses on places to purchase alcohol for one-day licenses.
I made a bunch of those, Bill.
Okay,
We
where?
Karen has forwarded that.
Right, they already have that.
Okay, I want the minutes to reflect that they have the copy from the ABCC.
Right, this is what I already gave them. They go out with their applications.
Okay.
Take a
Okay,
vote.
there's no one for Northeast and for...
You need a vote on this, right?
Take a vote.
I make a vote, we accept the exam.
Okay, well, the motion was made and seconded, so you want to take a vote now.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we go down to... That's for you. Okay.
I got this one, Bill.
We got to sign this.
Which one is that?
Or did you already sign one, or?
No, that's...
Why are some of these crossed off?
Well, no, they're not crossed off. They're underlined, the closest ones.
Oh,
They can purchase anywhere, from anywhere, yeah. Those are the most convenient.
right.
Now, so, that's for... Eric's already got that, right? You gave it to him.
Yes, I have one, thank you.
Yes, I hand them out with the application so they have them.
Okay.
And I'm Stephen Dion. I'm representing Northeast Center for Youth and Families. I'm a senior director at Northeast Center for Youth and Families. We're having a
It's the one down...
203 East Street.
Okay, 203, yeah.
We're having our second annual road race in October. It's a one-day road race, and we're requesting a license to serve wine and beer after the road race. We requested it from 10 to 3, and it's a one-day license. And we will have about 20 of our staff there to supervise, make sure nobody underage is being served.
Okay, but Steve, the person in charge, any questions we have would be you, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
And where's that gonna be?
It's going to be in our parking lot at 203 East Street.
203 East.
Way in the back.
Has anyone in your faculty been trained at all? Anyone who's going to be...
I've been trained. I've been sent to mixology school.
Okay.
And Opa is going to be providing their own bartender.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have a subcontractor
Yeah.
who's been trained.
Yep. They're providing the beer and wine.
All right, I move that the license be granted for one day to Northeast Center for Youth and Families, Incorporated.
I'll second that.
We'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, our next item is a request for a change of seasonal all-alcohol restaurant license to an annual all-alcohol restaurant license. And it's for Riff's Joint and Popcorn Nor.
Oh,
You sure?
Karen, I think there was another. Yeah.
Eric, just wait 1 minute if you don't mind, and I'll give it to you tonight, because they're signing it right now.
Oh.
You don't have to stop back by. And they're signing your license now, so if you don't mind just waiting 1 minute, I'll make a copy for myself.
Giants are not until 8:30.
That was all both pages or
Okay, this
something.
one's great.
Okay, well, Jason, you need this one here. I mean, right.
Oh, okay.
In there. 2 pages.
If you don't mind just holding 1 minute, and I can just make a quick copy of these, okay?
Okay, yeah.
So I don't miss anything. Let me read that.
Oh, this is what it is.
Yeah. And Steve, you have a copy, right?
Yes.
All right.
October 20th.
Thank you. Yeah, I heard you too, so that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
And you're all set also, if you want, you're free to go.
Karen, would you know if anyone's coming in from Easthampton Round Gun?
I said no.
Okay.
I haven't received anything from them. So
What are
that's,
we doing with that?
When was it
Nothing.
scheduled to be?
I don't have any paperwork on them,
Okay.
and they are not present, so I said that we just scratch that off
No
the
problem.
agenda. The
Okay.
agenda is made a week before the meeting, so,
So, no
Okay.
decision will be made on it, we'll just wait, right?
but we don't
They
have any
wanna-
documentation, we have
They
no
want to come
paperwork.
back, they can come back.
Perfect. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would request that you go to the violation hearings now. It's 10 past 6, and I think that the second item on the agenda could be held after your violation hearings.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I guess I would disagree. It seems like since the Rick's Joint and Popcorn Noir are just, at this point, formalities, that we should go through them first.
I don't think it's just a formality. I think it involves probably another hearing before...
Well, it's my impression that they're both asking for a blessing from the licensing board to go to the next phase of a legislative license. So it seems to me that since the licensing board has already granted them a seasonal license, that at this point it's a formality since they have to go through the process.
No, I think they're looking for an over quota license. There are no...
In other words,
There are no-
legislative license.
There are no available all-alcoholic licenses.
That's
available.
why I called it a legislative license.
I think that the board just granted or changed a beer and wine to an all-alcohol license on May... I had it earlier.
Are you talking about riffs or popcorn?
Well, which one are you talking about? Let's take them in order. Riffs.
Okay. So here it is. Theirs was approved by the licensing board on April 4th, 2012, and received back May 10th from...
ABCC.
Right.
From a
And-
beer and wine to an all-alcohol. From a seasonal beer and wine to a seasonal all-alcohol.
This is for a new license
For an all-alcohol.
for an all-alcohol seasonal
license. Yes.
for riffs.
Which doesn't require legislative action.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, seasonals.
Let's go to the next one now. Popcorn North.
Did you have a beer and wine seasonal
did
first? No, they didn't have a beer. You're confusing them
No,
with
we-
popcorn.
We had a beer.
Did you have any
we
license
didn't
at
have
all?
a beer.
Oh, that's
No.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't. After they got it, you had the same thing. Without going through the first step of a beer and wine.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay,
Now, just a minute. Now it's Popcorn North. They received on August 23rd, a few days ago, a license from a beer and wine to an all-alcohol seasonal license, which doesn't require legislative action. Now, you don't think this is going to take a little bit of discussion between the board members for a over quota license to the legislature? There's 4 steps required.
I know that.
Approval from the local licensing board.
I'm aware.
Second, the city council. Third, the mayor. Fourth, the state legislature. You think that can be done before this hearing, before all these other people?
If you feel like it can't be, I respect that.
I really don't think it can be. I think it's going to
Okay.
require more conversation.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I don't want to, the thing is I don't want to hold up anybody, and
Okay.
if you think that that's going to take more time, then
I do, but I think your
that's fine.
hearings, I think you could conduct them real
Okay.
quick.
That's fine. Well, I'm very
okay,
good
so
at
that,
being,
let me say something here, guys, to maybe to clear the board up right now. I talked to Ralph Sacamari, who's the director of the ABC, on the situation that we have here,
What situation are we talking about?
going from an all-annual into the legislative license. I also talked to Bill Kelly, who is our legal counsel on that. Told him the same situation. When I talked to him, told him what the situation we're faced, he says, my advice for you, the best thing to do is to contact the city attorney to find out how he wants that taken care of, because it's going from one type of license that they've only had X amount of days, going to the next step on the legislative license. So I'll make a motion that we go by what the director of the ABC and legal counsel. It's not an ABC matter. It's a matter.
It's clearly not an ABC
No,
matter.
it's
clearly a town matter.
That's
we
why.
can go through the process, and we do exactly what we've done before, which means they come to the licensing commission. The licensing commission gives it its blessing. It then goes to the city council, and it goes to the mayor, and then they go to our local legislature, and they apply for it. So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't just look at this and go,
I'm sure.
move forward.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you may not see it, but I'm sure that other businesses that have got a regular license would like to be heard. But whether that's here or there, we can decide later. I just think we.
I think it's a valid point. I just at this point where we are now is since it is a process that is been done before, why would these applicants not be allowed to go down the same path?
Because I think that in the past, the people with regular licenses have stated an objection to it, and a valid one, I think, too.
So you're saying that the reason why we shouldn't
No, I think we should discuss this.
because they need our blessing.
I think we should discuss this after we have your hearings. I think it's going to take more time.
Okay, that's fine.
So would you defer to having your hearings first? See if you can get through them?
Absolutely.
All right. And in order to expedite matters, I'm going to absent myself from acting on these matters.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, we're going to move on to...
How did chief?
You want me to get up there?
No, I'll get them.
Bill, you don't have to...
Yeah,
I'll just move here.
it's open meeting, Bill, so you can stay here.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, we're not going to kick you out of the room.
No, but the police are here, they're going to have to take care of it.
Thank you, I appreciate it. No, I just want to get a briefing. Okay.
Chief, doing?
There are a couple of chairs. Want me to
Okay,
shuffle
well, you know what,
around?
we're good. I'll stand right over here, I'm fine.
So I guess this is a little bit unprecedented for us, about, how this went down with all you guys. So it seems to me, Ray, Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, my suggestion would be to just have the Chief of Police just sort of run down how everything went,
Absolutely.
and...
Per violation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I was going to do, Mr. Chairman, is I was going to just read a brief synopsis of the events that occurred on that night, how it all came about, what the department does, and then I would just call on the officer, since I was not there, to just give a very brief testimony about what happened, what they did, and then if there are any questions, they can certainly answer the questions for the board. Okay. On Wednesday, June 27, 2012, an alcohol compliance check was conducted on all licensed businesses in the city of Easthampton. This is something that we have been running for at least the last 5 years, where the Spiffy Coalition, which is an organization that will put together a program to send in a person that is 18 years of age into a liquor license establishment. They go in there and attempt to procure alcohol. There's a full reporting process. All All of the officers follow and abide by all the rules of the ABCC, and they have printed protocols. If that person was able to purchase alcohol, they will leave that establishment, go back and report to the officer that is waiting outside the door or in the parking lot, and the officer will then notify at a later time that establishment that a person under the age of 21 came and they weren't ID'd, asked for an identification card of any sort, and issue them a violation to be brought to the licensing board for hearing.
Okay.
So that's basically the grounds for that. On that particular night, on June 27th, there were three violations under 204 CMR 2.05, which is the chapter and section for sale or delivery of alcohol to a person under the age of 21. The three establishments found in violation are as follows: the Glory of India, 29 Union Street in Easthampton; Casey's Big Dog Saloon, 40.5 Holyoke Street, Easthampton; and Jim's Package Store, 49 Cottage Street in Easthampton. And the department sent a letter on July 2nd to Karen Cadju, the clerk for the licensing board, to ask for this hearing. I have with me today would be Officer Dennis Scribner, was one of the officers that was present during those violations, and Officer Alan Shadle. He was also present. Those two officers coordinated the whole function along with Spiffy. They identified the individuals that they were going to be taking to the licensed establishments. They made sure they had no money on them. They made sure that they did not have any type of an alcohol reading. They gave them an intoxilizer, portable intoxilizer, and again, they followed all of the protocols that were used by the ABCC. And now I'd call on Officer Dennis Scribner just to give a very brief synopsis of the events.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Come on, officer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As the chief said, we did follow a very strict protocol that lays all the ground rules out. I had the first violation on that particular evening at Casey's Saloon, 40.5 Holyoke Street. The teenage girl that I was accompanying entered the establishment at 7:30 in the evening. She requested a Red Stag whiskey with ice. She was provided with whiskey. She did pay $4. She exited the establishment approximately 4 minutes later without consuming any alcohol and reported directly to me. She did provide me with a description of the bartender. At the conclusion of my rounds, I did return to that establishment along with the underage operative. She accompanied me in, pointed out the bartender as the person that sold to her. I did request his identification. He was identified at the time, and I did serve him with a notice of violation and request that he forward it to the business owner and advise him that he would also be contacted regarding the violation, that the owner would be contacted at a later date.
Okay.
And that's essentially what happened with my rounds that evening.
Okay, this is someone from Casey?
Yeah, right here.
Do you want to let them finish their...
No, are you? I'm sorry.
That's essentially what I have to say. I mean, I have copies of the protocol if that's necessary, copies of the forms that I filled out at the time of the violation. It's all fairly standardized.
Okay. Just like I'd like to see them, not right now,
Sure.
but just have copies in the file.
Sure.
And I will give my reason why after we do the hearings.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to call Officer Alan Shadle next.
I'm sorry.
Officer Alan Shadle, I'd call next for the...
Okay.
I'm going to give a synopsis of everything.
Okay. Go right
Yes,
ahead.
okay. My name is Officer Alan Shadle. I had the second and third violations that evening. First violation was going to be at 49 Cottage Street, which is Jim's Package Store. I had an underage female with me as well as the members from the Spiffy Coalition. That subject, my underage subject, entered the establishment at 7:31. Went in. Ended up purchasing a 6-pack of Corona beer, which cost $8.99. The female exited at 7:34. Brought that alcohol directly to me. Gave me a description of the person who sold that alcohol to her. I notated all those, all the same things. I followed the same protocols as Officer Scribner already mentioned as well. Later on, we did go back to the establishment. The underage went in with me, did identify the person that was working the counter as the same person that did sell her the alcohol. I identified that gentleman that was working. I also issued him the proper paperwork and told him that there'd be further notification to the owner about the violation as well. Okay. The second violation was Glory of India, which was 29 Union Street. The same underage person entered that establishment at 8:34. Went in, it was a little bit of a different situation because of the way the place is set up. She actually went in and sat down. She described a person that came up to her, basically told her what the drinks were that evening. She ended up asking for and being served a Bud Light draft. She offered to pay for it, but told the establishment she had to leave because she was meeting a friend. She never consumed any alcohol. The owner, the female owner who came over and identified herself as such, said don't worry about it. So the operative ended up not paying for any alcohol at that point, but it was put in front of her and it was in her possession. She exited it at 8:42, reported to me what had happened. Later on we did return to the establishment. The female came in and tried to identify the person that was there. She was unable to identify the actual person who served her the alcohol. I eventually did touch base with the person who was the bartender who was working, explained the violation, eventually then did talk to the owner who happened to be there, explained him the violation again, issued the proper paperwork and advised him of the pending paperwork.
Okay.
Okay?
My only concern right now is we're hearing violations about these establishments. We're hearing what you're saying. We're not giving them the opportunity to tell their story for that, if they were even saying yes or no.
Well, that's why we're here, Ray.
I know that's why we're here.
Yeah, no. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to come back here and explain it, because we've already heard this once before, and we appreciate you coming here again and, going through it. So I think the reason we're here tonight, Ray, is so that we can give the, establishment owners, a chance to, hear what has happened and to give their side of the story, and just tell them that, we're not here. The police department has made it. It's okay. The police department has made it entirely clear that they do not want to severely penalize these businesses by suspending licenses. They're saying, listen, you just need to know that you got to be following the rules, okay? And we're going to give you a chance to...
Well, I don't think we should do this until we hear from them, are we?
Absolutely. That's fine.
I don't think we should say what we're going to be doing.
Well,
until we hear what they say.
Okay, well, I would say that, from my point of view, the police department and Spiffy are kind of in conjunction with each other, and the police department is saying, look, we've had a really good track record here. And this may have been just a fluke. We just want everyone to understand.
If I may, Mr. Duda.
Please.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bruce McMahon. I'm the Chief of Police in Easthampton. And as we explained to the licensing board before, we're not looking to suspend licenses. That's not what we do. In these economic times, it's too difficult, and a place can go out of business. What we're looking for is all businesses have to abide by the same rules. They have to have servers that know how to check for IDs, that if someone comes in and they honestly look like they're under the age of 40, you should be asking for an ID. And that's what we're asking the board to do. We're not asking the board to suspend a license where you're going to lose your license for 3 days or something like that, because that would be very prohibitive to every business. We've always had a 100% compliance rate in Easthampton since we've been doing this program, and we want to go back to 100% compliance rate. We were very shocked, actually, that we had 3 violations, and that's why the people are here before the board today. We want to get everybody back on track again, maybe have some education, teach your servers how to ask for IDs, and if somebody looks like they're under 40, maybe you should be asking for an identification. That's the goal of our department. We want to protect everybody. We want to make sure that kids that are 18 years of age are not getting alcohol in Easthampton. That is our goal. I made that public, and I said it before all of you. That's what we're looking to do. We're not looking to take someone's license away. Mr. Dwyer.
Thank you. So, I mean, I guess if you'd like, Chairman, is that if each one of the
we have
people
to hear
could just
their story.
hear their story, that'd be fine.
That's what
Because
we
they've
have-
heard
that's what
from
we
the
have to
police,
do.
and they've heard from at least one member of the board who agrees with the chief that our rate of compliance in Easthampton has been very good, and it seems like a fluke, but everyone needs to understand that this is something that we have to continually be on top of. You know? So, do you want to start with?
Well, let me see, when
Yes, go
you're
ahead.
saying that.
Yeah.
I invited Mr. James Staples.
Okay.
Okay, he can tell his former background. I can tell you quickly, he was a supervisor with the alcohol beverage control. He was acting chief at one point. Jim wrote the guidelines to these things. He now does a program that works with local liquor licensing boards, police departments, and establishments. So I asked him here to come here to tell us what he does.
Okay.
So what we do. But I still really have hear from these three establishments. That's
Sure.
all I want to do.
Yep.
Is here.
Yeah.
I agree, and Chief, if you remembered, the last time you were in here, I said that your guidelines are very good, and you guys did a very well job.
Correct.
But I just want to hear from them.
Absolutely.
Okay. So,
So you want to do that first?
George, just get this situation because Bill's from Jim is from Boston.
Okay.
So if we can fly this through real quick
No problem.
to get him.
Okay.
Him.
So do we have a representative for Casey's Big
Yes,
Dog
we
Soda?
do.
Yes.
My name's Lisa Fusco, and I've owned Casey's for a little over 5 years. And Chief, if you think you were surprised, you should have seen me when I got the phone call. The person working is the previous owner that I bought the establishment from, and he had it for 23 years. And so, even though I understood what happened, and I think the officer there understood what happened, there was a pool league there, and it was a 21 and over league. And right about the time when all this happened, both teams were there, and a lot of the females on the opposing team had tattoos, and when this underage person came in, she had a bunch of tattoos, so he wrongly assumed that since it was a 21 and over league, and I said that's an honest mistake. I will say in 28 years between myself and Joe owning the place, we've had 2 violations like this one and one other quite some time ago when Joe had it. We do ID very often, and even though I understand how he made the error, it's still unacceptable, and it's still 2 times too many, so I do understand that. We've only ever called the police twice in 28 years. It's a well-run, nice neighborhood bar. But I do apologize, and I was surprised about that and about the other 2 places. We're pretty vigilant, and we don't generally get a younger crowd in there anyway. And again, while I understood the circumstances, it's still not okay. And if it's busy, and you can't assume, and I'm the same way. If they look under 40, card them. And if they make a face, say, hey, I'm not going to lose my liquor license over you.
Well, and that's the greatest point you could make is that, and that's what you've got to, implore on your bartenders. It's like, don't just assume.
Right.
If there's any question,
Right.
it's not worth 1 drink to
Right.
lose your license.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest thing that the police are doing right now, that the chief has implored on everyone, is that he's not looking to take anyone's license. He's just looking to make sure
Right.
that everyone understands that you need to stay vigilant.
And I never felt like this was, while I was concerned, I never felt like this was a loss of license issue. Have a good relationship with the police department. Joe said that you guys were extremely professional, so I don't have any issue. I felt comfortable coming in here and saying, hey, we made a mistake, and we apologize.
Good enough for us.
I accept that.
Good enough for us. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. It's my 50th birthday, so I'm getting out of here.
We still have to let her know what we're going to do.
You don't know what
You had
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah, we should do that.
She's coming right back in. She's coming right back in. Yeah, go outside for a minute.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
So when do we do
So do we have representatives for Glory of India?
Yes, sir.
So, you've heard what happened?
Yes, I can do it. My question is, like, we were so busy, we made a mistake, but my question is only to the chief. If something happened at 8:34, we served the drink, girls came back, didn't identify the guy who served the drink to her. If the officer was right, that point came within 5 minutes, the drink was there. He can call her for that too. We can see who served it. We was busy. We had like 10 people that day. We just opened that day. I understand that we made a mistake, but my question is, like, something happened at that time, like 8:34, right? The girl left, and then he came back like around 10 o'clock. This thing happened. So that's only my question is. Otherwise, we're sorry that happened. Won't happen that again. We have signed there. Under 45, we're gonna check the ID.
Okay.
So we're doing it since that time. Only my question is, like, if something happened like that, I appreciate you guys doing that one. So like the drink would serve at 8:34.
I'm confused. So you're questioning their procedures?
No, like not questioning, like, say somebody get caught doing it, right? Just like, why don't we officers right?
I can answer that question if you'd like.
Okay, sure.
Please do, because
The answer to that question is the protocol set forth by the ABCC is that when we do the sting operation, we go to every liquor license establishment in the city.
Whole city?
26, the whole
Oh,
city.
okay.
And at the end, they go back and they hand out the violations. Because if they had a violation on the first one, and maybe that one business owns 2 or 3 licenses, they can pick up the phone and say, there's a sting going around, this could happen. So it's done one time, and at the end, that's when we go back.
That's
and do
only my
violations.
question was because
Yes.
I own another restaurant in Holyoke.
Yes.
When the ABBC come, usually the guy come right over there. That's my only
Right,
question.
yeah, we do it that way.
So since that time, we have signed, checking the ID under 45. Somebody don't have ID, even they're 55, they gotta go home.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
So do we have a representative from Jim's Package Store?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Good, you heard the story,
Yes.
what happened
Yes.
with from the police.
Yeah.
Can we hear your story?
Yes, I wasn't there, like my employees was there, and I got to check the ID, and I have ID machine there, and whatever he did, I apologize, and not gonna be happen again.
So were you saying that you did serve a minor?
Yeah,
Okay.
but like my employees did, I wasn't there, and
Yeah.
they called me next day morning. So,
Okay,
right?
thank you.
Thank you.
After hearing the police, they proved their case. All 3 of the individuals said, yes, it did happen. I don't want to put them out of business or anything like that.
No.
So what I want to make a motion that we give them a written warning that stays permanently in their file.
Yes.
Not 2 years, no, permanently. And if it comes in front of the board again, it'll be a second offense, which the penalty to the ABC can go up to like 6 days, probably even more, loss of license.
I'd second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So do you guys all understand?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Is there any program in the city running to like teach people?
That's okay. Heather?
We can help you with that.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, that's another thing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Do you have a
Thanks for
name
coming.
going
Take
on
care.
that,
Thank you.
You want somebody
Is it
to...
okay if I say a couple words?
Yes, oh, please. Yeah, come on.
So,
Yeah.
my name is Heather Warner, and
Why don't you let them leave, because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, okay. Hold on one second.
1 second, Heather, so we can all hear you, because they're gonna want your information.
Yeah, because we got
Oh, right. Right.
So,
Thanks.
and they should be posted.
So what, do we know what's
Chief?
going on here? Do we know what this is?
No, I don't know, but we're good.
No, we're not.
We're not with
No.
him. We're not.
Well, no, we're not.
Okay.
Chief,
Yes.
like I said, I brought James Staples
Yep.
here. He has a program
Yep.
on training like you want.
Yep.
I'm asking if you would just stay and listen to him.
My problem, Mr. Redfern, is I have another appointment that I'm 10 minutes late to.
Okay, what about your officers? Can they stay here?
If Officer Strickland, because he is on duty, if he wants to stay and listen, that would be fine, absolutely. I'm fairly familiar with the activity, and quite frankly, the officers are the ones that do the enforcement. I just authorize it. So it'd probably be more important for the officers to hear what's going on rather than myself.
That'd be fine if your officers can say it. I think it would be very important.
Okay.
Because we want this program
Yep.
in town here.
Yep, very good.
You know?
Yep.
So, what do you want to go on to next, Ray? Do you want to go on to the to Spiffy, or do you want to go
Spiffy's
on?
not here.
Yes.
Right here.
Heather
It's
Warner
right
is
here.
right here. Yes.
I'd like to come back to the meeting.
Well, please
So
come back.
we're done
Thank
with
you.
that
Please come back, Ray.
decision?
Yeah, so you're gonna give them a warning.
A written warning.
Yes, we're gonna
and
give them a
we're
written
gonna
warning.
bring that up.
It's clear to me that we definitely need training. What kind of training? I'd like to have Mr. Staples, who came up, I think he's in Newton, he lives in Newton, that's where his business is. Mr. Staples?
Right there.
I thought you put him under new business, right? You told me to put him, you were gonna
Well-
have him come under new business at the end of the meeting.
Yeah,
I
we're
just
gonna
don't
do
want
it
to
under
hold
new
anybody
business.
up.
Right,
I didn't know Spiffy
He
was
comes
here.
a
I'm
long
sorry.
way.
No, I understand. I don't want to hold him up, but I don't want to hold all of these people up. And
I'll just take like 2 minutes if you... if
that,
that's okay.
Sure.
can we
Okay.
have her go?
Sure.
And then because after she speaks, it would work for the officers and for the business owners. I think that would work very well.
Programs.
Do you not?
To speak it, Spiffy is here.
No, I'll be here from Spiffy.
So, hi, my name is Heather Warner, and I'm with the Spiffy Coalition. I recognize people around the table from Jim's Package Store, who actually has attended himself and his employees have come to the tips and mass pack training that we offer. And we offer this training through using Mark Antonio that does the tips training, and the Massachusetts Package Store Association does the mass pack training. We offer these once a year at a reduced cost, $10 for mass pack and $15 for the tips training, which we subsidize as a coalition. And we usually have between 35 and 50 people attending these, annually. And I know there's also trainings available through the Springfield bottling.
Commercial
Williams
distributing.
Williams Distributing.
Yeah. And I think those are free, in fact. So we have those trainings coming up on October 23rd and 24th. We'll be holding trainings again, and anybody's welcome to register.
Is this something, Heather, that when you have these notices, is this something that you would like us to be able to our licensees?
Yes, that would be wonderful. We are just putting together the flyer now, and I think I already sent you the dates. So if you want to send a save the date to anybody, but I'll have something to you, like a description of these programs
That'd be perfect.
by next weekend.
And I can just, if
Yeah.
board wants these mailed to the licensees. So
I'd
they
like to
have
see
no-
it before we...
Yeah, well, it's TIPS, which is a national program, and they get a 3-year certification. It's one of the most, I think, known server trainings. And then Massachusetts Package Store Association. TIPS also does a package store training, but so does the Massachusetts Package Store Association. They do a fine job. It's the president of MassPack that does that training. It's really good.
Heather, we attended a 3-day seminar at Western New England College, and it was done by JBS Professional Services, and this is Mr. Staples who's here. And what we'd like to do is, we definitely need rules and regulations as a board, okay? We need to educate all of the people who have liquor licenses, okay? Not just how to safe serve, but all the legal laws and what is on them. Delivering or sale to a minor doesn't require that the person pick up the glass and drink it, okay? When they deliver that drink to the bar, that's a delivery. That's an illegality committed on the premises, okay? If they were to bring a beer from a cooler in a package store and put it on the counter and then walk out, that's a delivery. I don't know really if package store owners realize that, okay? They don't have to take it out or drink it. But those are some of the things that, we've learned from this thing. I think you two could probably work together. I mean, tips, that's good, but as long as you are here, and Mr. Stables, I'd like to hear from him, and I'd like the police officers, because we need to establish our own rules and regulations. They need to be updated.
Yeah, and also just to say, that what Smithy's been working on in Easthampton, we're also, you may have seen the billboards around where we've surveyed parents, and we're really working hard as a community to, with the DA's office, with the police, with parents, with the schools to, reduce underage drinking. And, we're not at all, trying to infringe upon businesses' rights or adult drinking. That's not where we're going. It's really underage drinking that we're concerned with. And really trying to approach this in a positive way with working with retailers. And Jim's has had young people come into his store and sticker all his beers, saying don't sell to under 21 and don't give this to under 20. And we really appreciate that Jim's works with us like that every year. And it's a great experience for the young people too who get involved that way. And we've also purchased for the police department a breathalyzer that can be shared with the schools for if the schools decide they want to use them for certain kinds of prom or other activities. In Amherst, we purchased one of those very expensive ID scanners, and they now go around and work with retailers to try out the machine and see how that works for them. We do a reward system in Amherst where we check using over 21-year-olds and we present the clerks with a $5 gift card when they successfully check ID. So we're really looking at positive ways to do this, and we really look forward to working with the licensing board on examining the regulations and seeing, what are other communities doing and, what is a good protocol for, what are some of the best practices that are going on. So I appreciate the time.
I'd appreciate it if you could listen to Mr. Staples' presentation.
Yes, that sounds
and
fantastic.
if the officers could, without infringing too much on our budget with overtime, do we need one officer here or two?
Being a little sarcastic.
No, I'm concerned about the budget.
Heather, can I answer just one question?
Yeah.
When this violation here was just going, they were saying, ask an ID, like guys say, 40 years old, look for it.
Yeah.
Or 30 years old, look, or whatever.
Yeah.
Why can't, like, Fenway Park, day at card everybody?
Yeah.
I think that's very important that you card everybody.
Yeah,
I buy cigarettes and I'm carded.
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's not illegal not to check ID. It's illegal to deliver the alcohol to the person. And so the establishments have to make their best choice about how much risk they're taking on a busy night to check or not check versus having their license pulled in. If it were the ABCC doing these alcohol operations, and I'll tell you that the ABCC has not been coming to Easthampton because the coalition is here working on it, and so in a way it's probably a blessing to some establishments, because when you go to the ABCC, you are going to pay a huge fine or get your license pulled. So to have this be dealt with locally, I think is really great, because we have the opportunity to learn and do, talk about training and talk about best practices. So, but it really is up to the establishment. I think it's a lot of places are starting to just card everyone. But what do you do when you have that regular customer? Really? So it has to be a judgment call, and it's a big risk though. And we're not going to be here doing them all the time in the police. The ABCC will be coming and checking, and the risk is there.
I anticipate the ABCC will be here in Easthampton shortly because I know that they do at least 4 things a year, and one is around prom time, one is when the students go back to school, which is now. So you owners of business establishments, don't be surprised if you get the sting from the ABCC, and you're absolutely right. That includes days suspension or heavy fines, not a warning. So just be aware.
But I would say that I certainly commend the Easthampton Police Department for, understanding that, this is a serious matter, and it's something that they also understand that they have to work with the community, and they don't want to, they don't want to punish anyone unduly, but they want to make sure that everyone understands that this is serious. This is going to go in the file, like the chairman said. This goes in your file, and if something else happens and the ABCC gets involved, it's going to be a completely different story. So, I would commend the Easthampton Police Department for being extremely reasonable in this, because we've had a really good track record in Easthampton.
I agree with you on that.
And stings are for the purpose of education, really, and we need to educate, and hopefully, we'll do more.
And it's a pretty minimal check. It's just about IDs. I mean, there's much more, intricate kinds of things. It's not like someone's trying to pass a fake ID. It's just simply asking for ID, sort of a baseline.
Good. Jim, can we hear from you?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Jim Staples. I run a company called JBS Professional Services. Real quick, I know a lot of people are waiting. I retired from the ABCC in 2004. For the last 9 years, I've been doing a number of things in alcoholic beverage compliance consulting. I train local licensing boards. I assist them in writing local licensing regulations. We train police departments. We do alcohol awareness seminars for the police department to all the local license holders on best practices. We have 2 alcohol server training programs approved by the cities and towns of Massachusetts and by Hospitality Mutual Insurance Company. We come in, same as TIPS, same as the coalition does. We do work for 6 coalitions throughout the state, helping them write guidelines, helping them do shoulder taps, sting operations, cops and shops, any other enforcement activity that the coalition wants to do. The program that we do is a 3-hour, 3-year certification. You have to get an 80% to take and get certified. It covers basically IDs and over-serving, which is the basic issue for all service. You want to make sure the kids are not getting drinks and the intoxicated person is no longer being served. That's the programs that we put together. Work closely with the local licensing board, and again, we do a lot of seminars for the police department, for the license holders.
What would a seminar for liquor license holders cost for us to have every license holder attend so that we know that they've had an education?
Right, our seminars are $750.
And how long is it?
An hour and a half.
And are there any longer?
You can do longer if you want.
Well,
An hour
we went
and a
to a
half is about-
3-day one.
Oh, that,
Per
that's-
establishment?
Per establishment?
No, it's everybody.
It's everybody. In other
A
words-
seminar is 90 minutes of me talking, giving you what the laws are, how things go, and half an hour of question and answers, hands-on ID checking. Like the coalition said, the only machine right now catching these real good fake IDs is advanced ID detection. Anything else, I wouldn't even recommend using it. I just was in Amherst this afternoon. I picked up 100 fake IDs for our training classes. Kids have been back in school, what, a week? All right, so yes, that machine is by far the only thing I would recommend anybody be using. But we teach hands-on techniques for checking the IDs.
I think Amherst had 17 arrests the first day.
They're back.
Yeah.
So the seminar is 90 minutes, including half an hour hands-on, work with the IDs, work with the equipment. The training programs, it depends on what the funding is. 1-day seminars for the police are $300 per department. The 3-day seminar is $300 per head. But that's a 3-day extensive training program.
Which you graciously allowed your former assistant that you worked with to allow us to come for free. So we
Yes.
saved $600.
I'll bring that up. On one of the seminars that you had, Jim, in Western New England, okay, You can explain what that is.
Yeah,
but-
it's a 3-day seminar. The town, Ray and I were partners for years. Before I retired, Ray retired. So Ray and Bill came out and spent the 3 days going through the regulations, how to write your own regulations, how to do liquor hearings, how to do liquor enforcement, what's the best practices to have your licensees take place in. The basic issue is public safety. Make sure the kids are not getting served, make sure the intoxicated persons are not getting overserved, and you're taking care of them before they drive.
But there were many police departments represented at that 3-day seminar also.
We've trained about 240 police departments.
What were the dates?
I just want to say with that seminar that Jim just let people know that when I was invited as Jim's guest, he says you can be, and I believe that was what
$300 per
$300 or $350 or whatever. When due to not be able to drive because of my accident, I could not get there. My transportation, for some reason, I couldn't get a ride, so I asked Mr. Sullivan to give me a ride. And when we got to the this seminar, I told Jim, I says, Jim, I can only be here for 1 day because of my ride. I needed a ride back, and Jim was very glad, or whatever you want to say Jim can come in, Bill can come in, and I won't charge him to come in here. So we had that complete 3-day training, which we learned quite a bit.
Classes were from 8:30 to 3:30.
3 days,
Yeah, and I appreciated it. I learned a tremendous amount. And appreciate it, and that's why I've asked you to come. And I think working with Spiffy, we can educate all the license holders, and we should have 100% compliance every time.
Can I make a suggestion? I know with the fire department, they come through annually and do an inspection, make sure our hood is up to date, our fire. We do annual renewals with these licenses. Could there be some sort of proof that we're current with the manager on duty,
Well,
or?
you're supposed to list your tips training.
Right, it already is part of
Oh, okay, it's already part.
Yeah.
But not only that, but if you
Is there
complete
some
the
checks
course,
and balances?
if you complete the course, I think you get a certificate, don't you? Yes, you do.
If you take our program, you get a
Well, the difference with that, Casey, is that if your hood is in compliance, it's more than likely going to be in compliance for the entire year. Your servers won't necessarily be in compliance because you have no control over that.
We should have a list of every business,
We do.
who your manager is and who your employers are. That needs to be
Do trip
kept
training.
on the premises of each establishment. So when the police come in, they know who's on duty, and it helps them. Those are things that we really didn't realize because we don't really have that in our rules and regulations. So
Yeah, we do. We have who the registered manager is, but,
Yeah, but
we don't have the resources. And Karen I think would back me up on this. Say, as a board, we don't have the resources to keep track of every employee in every establishment that has.
What we do,
license.
what I think what you're asking is on the restaurant to list every employee on the owner and the
Right.
employee in the restaurant.
But we
What
have the manager.
What we have
Yes.
is we have, when we do renewal, which is what Casey was heading toward, is every licensee has to tell us, number one, first of all, we know who their manager is because
Right.
that's how they're renewing,
Correct, yeah.
and list everybody that is alcohol server trained.
certified.
Right.
How they're trained
Yep.
and if they are.
Well, that's
You're
what-
talking about having a list at the restaurant, all the employees, correct?
That's one of the requirements that they should have. So when the police come in to any establishment, they know who it is. We talk about people who have a entry fee or cover charge, whether it's legal or not. So there's a ton of things. So we're
Well,
learning.
it's usually move, like sometimes they work 2 weeks or 6 months.
Then you take them off, and then whoever you get in, you just put on. I mean, you should have that. There's a reason that they require it, or should be required. Knowing who's working. A lot of this stuff came as a result of the fire down in Rhode Island. and the people that were inside who were working, who were missing, and so forth. But
I would think what you're talking.
Happy to work with, this gentleman and you all to take a look again at
And
some
the
of
police, yeah.
best practices. And,
absolutely, that's what we're looking for. Yeah.
And all that stuff about the list, I think we ought to do it when we do the guidelines.
Absolutely,
And not at this meeting.
Right.
When we sit down with...
I don't want to hold this up.
No, I think, Jim, can you somehow...
Officers, thank you so much for coming. I think we're all set. Would you agree?
Yeah, 7 o'clock, you guys. 7 o'clock.
No, I think we're all set. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, you will get those signs.
Yeah, you guys are fine.
Thanks a lot.
Can the licensees go?
Yeah, you don't have to send them a notice, right? Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
Thank you.
So where's the birthday party?
Thanks,
I've
guys.
been out of Casey since I still have
Nice
my
seeing you
voice.
again. Nice seeing you again.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, buddy. Nice seeing you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim, are you going to come back and give us, help us with our...
I'm going to sit down with you at some point.
Okay.
Well, you can go, you don't have to just ask me, you can ask the whole board. That's a very good question. And I'm pretty sure that Ray made a motion, and they did vote to send written warning, but don't move. Well, I mean, you can
You're
move.
fine, Joe. Thank you.
Don't move very far.
Thank you very much. Nice seeing you, Jim. Thank you so much for coming to share.
Okay, guys.
Okay, Rebecca from the Gazette just had a question, and looking through all my pages and notes, just want to make sure I'm on the same board. She wanted to know if the board voted, if the board voted to, with the violations, and I said, my recollection is you made a motion, you seconded to vote to send written warnings to the establishment. And that wasn't...
Put in there fine.
Okay.
That'll stay in there permanently.
And the vote, and I do have the vote in.
Okay.
Should be
But it was...
2-0. Unanimous.
Well, it'd be...
Well, I mean,
You abstained.
one abstention.
I didn't
You
understand.
abstained from the
Didn't even abstain.
hearings. You abstained from the hearings.
I absented myself.
But it's going to be 2-0 is what the vote will be, because if I
Right.
do
Yeah,
unanimous,
right.
it's 2-0. Just like, didn't you just say that?
I did.
Did you state why you abstained?
We got all that squared
Did
away.
you state why you abstained?
The one thing we have to do...
He abstained before the hearings.
Okay, the main thing, I shouldn't say the main thing, is we have to come up with a date and time of when these meetings are. And...
Well, I think you should do that at the end. I think you should get to these people that have been
Oh, okay, we got more people
sitting
than
here
I'm
for over
sorry.
an hour.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they were way up here on the thing.
Oh, okay,
They were
yeah.
taking the hearing.
Mine go right ahead.
All right. So, Karen, what do we got next?
Okay, you have your agenda right here? So it should be, now we're
Rips. Okay, we have a request for a change of seasonal all-alcohol restaurant license to an annual all-alcohol restaurant license for Rips Joint. Could you explain what you want to do?
Sure. Could you guys come around here and it'd be a lot easier?
Yeah, so we can hear you.
Plus you, where'd the camera guy go?
His battery died.
Huh?
His battery died.
Oh.
Don't worry.
You will be
Yeah,
on,
you're
you're still on camera.
Oh.
This is for the local access. All the meeting rooms are camera now.
Okay.
That's what that is, by the way.
Why don't we get your name?
Jeff Cahill
Yeah.
and Richard Lyman. We have been working with the seasonal all-alcohol license since May.
When you first got it.
First got it, right.
How's business been?
Business has been great. We've limited space in the restaurant, so we've just been going beer and wine to start with. We have started construction of a bar alongside the restaurant that we plan on operating as a full bar, liquor, beer and wine and all that. That is the big impetus behind us wanting to flip our license to a full year-round license, because we don't want to have to shut that down every year for 2.5 months.
You're blessed to have one. You know, we have no full liquor licenses available. And all alcohol seasonal license is, I don't know whether it's better or not. Casey, you had some words the last time of percentages of beer and wines, you know. But the thing is, I don't see really a public need for an above quota license. I don't see it. I really don't. I mean, we're talking from January 1st to
January 15th.
To April 1st. Like 3 months. You know, I don't think there's a real public need. I can't see it for you at this point. I just want to deal with you, okay? I think, you know, just like what we did when we had the first liquor license available, you put in a request if an all alcohol license becomes available, you'd like to be considered. We've done that in the past, you know. Otherwise, people are just satisfied with like a beer and wine seasonal.
I don't think anybody's satisfied with a seasonal beer and wine license.
Well, from not having anything granted by the local licensing authority, it's better than nothing.
Sure.
Yeah.
But then you have that 2.5 months where you can't compete with other restaurateurs.
Well, let me tell you, there's a reason why the season begins, you know, April 15th, you know, and, you know, why it does, because those are, I think, the slowest months, aren't they, of the year for a restaurant?
No. Are you? Is this
well, no, I'm just asking a former restaurant.
It is not. What I will, I came here to say that the shoe's on the other foot now. I was bringing up a point when Art Bar was looking for their over-quota license, and I said, if that door was open, you can't close that door.
Yeah, and so did the bartender from Brass Cat, I think, said that too.
So
it's
the
opening
door,
a spice pot and don't know where it's going to go, and evidently it's
but I walked through it.
Yeah.
And I got my over-quota license.
And you know what, Casey? Good for you, because you know what?
So I'm concerned that if the door all of a sudden closes, it's not fair.
Casey.
Not fair to who?
To anybody.
Casey, let me ask you something. Do you know how many over-quota licenses we have?
3.
5?
5.
Let me ask you something. Do you know about your restaurant? Is it open? No. Is Michael Bear's open at 5 Chapin Avenue? No. Is 1 Northampton Street really open?
I don't think so.
Well,
is that Art Bar?
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday nights.
Time, right?
Sort of, okay.
Now that's 2 nights, right? They have a full liquor license, don't they? Yeah.
We're open 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Yeah. Where should that license have gone to, do you think?
So you're saying it's unfair?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. 5 licenses from the year 2000 to the latest issued 2012. Casey, you're a restaurateur. Your brother is a restaurateur. He owns 2 licenses in Dorchester, okay? I think you're going to do well. I hope you do well. But I don't see...
I was there for brunch on Sunday. It was excellent.
But I don't see a real need for an over-quota license.
Well, I think the public will... It's supply and demand. If they have a license and the public supports it, then it will be successful.
I think...
If they have a license and the public doesn't support it, they're going to have a question on their end where they say, we can't be sitting on the alcohol.
But that's why we have a quota system.
Well,
and the answer is get rid of the quota system, Casey.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Don't throw it on us. We only go by what the law allows us to do. 5 times we've gone above the law. Okay?
No, we're not going above the law. No. We're following
okay.
the law.
Yes. Well,
okay?
yeah.
Because there are procedures.
Yes.
So it's not above the law.
That's right.
So to say, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but to say that it's improper for there to be 5 out-of-quota licenses, over-quota licenses.
I don't think
it's wrong.
No.
It's just following procedure.
And when I was at the State House, I was one of 12 people in the state given permission to have an over-quota license. It's what the problem is, and this is why I was against it before. Was I shelled out $30,000
Absolutely.
for what was perceived as a limited number
What
scenario.
do you think Coco's paid for an available all liquor license? What do you think they paid?
What do you think Claudio just sold his liquor license for?
What did Glory of India pay?
Right.
No.
200.
Right.
Nothing. No.
Right.
No.
And
They paid
all-
nothing.
No,
So why?
They had it. No, they paid
They
nothing.
paid nothing.
No, well, they paid
No,
the
there was
fee.
a
They paid
license
the fee.
available.
They paid the
Right.
fee.
Well,
So, and they've invested
When we
200.
were,
And that, but let's not
with
argue
this
that because that
legislative
is the
action, there are
process.
licenses available.
The process was done the way the process was supposed to be done. And granted, is it not fair
Which
that
we
someone
filed
has to
before Gloria.
someone has to pay $30,000 for a license and someone pays just the $500 fee or whatever it is? Chooses to pay for it.
But there's
I
a big
chose the
difference.
first time. The second time, I chose your advice.
Listen, we would love it, and we would
And it worked,
believe
and it's worked
us.
so far.
We would love it if there were an
Absolutely.
unlimited amount of
Yes.
licenses, because it would be great for
Hold on.
the
We
city
have
of
a
East
question
Hampton.
from the cameraman. I think the battery is.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know what the process here is for dealing with this.
Go ahead. We're having an open discussion about it.
Great, that's excellent, because a little bit earlier in the evening, we heard that with the violations, that it was undesirable action to suspend the license for even 3 days, because that could be really damaging to a business. Now we're talking about, I just heard the people from Ritz talk about how they'd have to be shut down their bar for 2.5 months. Now that seems really overwhelming. If you're establishing a business and around serving alcoholic beverages, personally I felt that seasonal seems kind of ridiculous anyway.
But
To
this is the
say
only
that
allowed
you
by law.
build clientele and then
I don't
2.5
disagree.
months out of the year you've got to shut that down.
Yeah.
Compared to closing a business for even a day, suspending for a day when everybody goes, oh my God, that's
Employees off
terrible.
Yeah.
2.5
So we're
months.
dealing with an
I still have to
antiquated
pay,
system.
right?
The other
Yeah.
part of this is that
We're handcuffed.
the other part, I have one more thing to add,
Sure.
and that is that, is this about being fair to somebody who, as Casey just said, chose to pay $30,000 for a license, as opposed to employing a process that exists, that people can follow, and it's not 100% guaranteed. A person can go for a legislative license, and it can be denied at any step of the way.
That's right.
Why not allow that process to be undertaken by whomever in this town wants to do that? It's not 100% guaranteed, and as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I don't see that the fairness, the idea that this license board is going to protect somehow somebody else's investment that they chose to make in some way, I don't see that as the business of this board.
You don't?
I do not. Absolutely not.
Okay, I agree with you in a lot of respects, but to move on, if you don't mind,
No.
Chairman, we've heard from Riffs and we know your position, but we also have representative from Popcorn Noir here as well, so you haven't had a chance to speak, so
That's right.
we'd like you to.
You know, you've heard a lot of things from everybody, and I support a lot. I mean, everything Casey's saying is true. The only points that I really want to make is, since we've gotten our full liquor license and expanded our business, we have hired 20 additional staff. Of that, 11 of which are tip certified. Of that, 10 of which are Easthampton residents. If we do not successfully convert our seasonal license to an annual license, 4 of them will lose their job when the season changes. That's 4 jobs in a town that is small, that's struggling to create new jobs. A simple decision to stop this action today costs my business money, it costs my staff their jobs. It prevents a brand new business from repaying the bank loans that we need to so we can continue to grow. I mean, it's been raised in the past, the investment that other businesses have made, the renovations that we have made to date are nearing hundreds of thousands of dollars like any other restaurant, between equipment, between insurance, annual insurance that we pay despite only having a seasonal license. We still pay annually. All of those things don't change because the season changed. We still have to foot the bill on that. For us to sell alcohol annually helps us offset the costs and continues to employ Easthampton residents in jobs that everybody desperately needs right now.
Excuse me, madam, new building that you have, number 30, I believe it is, have you Done anything to that building yet?
Done, open, grand opening party is Friday night. We've
Okay,
been
I saw the grand
Yep,
opening,
We've been
yes.
open for 3 weeks. We have, Casey was at brunch on Sunday and saw, we served 65 customers in 2.5 hours on Sunday for brunch. We have successfully implemented the sale of alcohol into our business. We police it. We're very careful, cautious. All of our staff are trained, up to date. We take pride in what we put out. We do only quality, top shelf, excellent choices. We're not here to sling drinks to everybody in town. It's not what it's about. It's part of our business. We've integrated it into our model. And for us not to be able to sell alcohol for 2.5 months is crippling financially.
Well, I mean, you don't know that you haven't been there, but I also wasn't going to buy my building unless I could have a year-round liquor license because I knew it wasn't worth the risk. You guys are making the risk, and I think that you've made the effort financially to do it, that you deserve the same course of action that I took, and it took me a lot less than people said. I don't know when you guys approved it locally, April or May, but as of, the 4th, they enacted and laid before the governor the bill for him to sign for my liquor license.
Do you think you might have had some help from this license commission getting that passed?
I don't think so. I think it's been very, very fair. You told me what to do. You told those guys what to do. They chose to go down a different route, and now they're going to you and saying, we want the overquota license. You told them all to do that.
Which was the route that was laid out by you.
Listen, the thing is,
your words exactly were to do exactly what we're doing.
there's a way to do it. You can change the law. I mean, listen. We just had a petition in this town to remove a city councilor, right? I mean, that's their right to do. They did it. I commend them for it. Didn't pass. Try it again, or wait until the next election. Change the statute. Get us out of the quota system. There's got to be you and hundreds of like you all over the state.
I can tell you, Salem Derby, when I went to go to get city council's permission, he says, how about we go for 5 overquota licenses? And I said, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I said,
Casey.
No, and listen, follow me. I said, that's what I told you to do when Art Bar was looking for a license. And you said, no, we'll just do the one. And I said to Salem, you know what, Salem? I want you to just do the one because if it fails this time, I'll be pissed. I'm only been looking out for number 1, so you put 1 through because individually these have all been passed. And if you try to group 5 and it doesn't pass, I'll be pretty upset. So they shuttled the 1 along.
Where do they put the 5? You have a name of a place?
No.
What do you?
Actually, there's legislation that Northampton did 5 at once.
Right, and that's what was
That's the
happening.
paperwork that's in your packet.
And that's what I saw. The town of Sharon was looking for 5, and so it's towns are struggling to figure out what the scenario is, and they're putting it into the state's hands.
Oh, wait a minute.
And it could get stopped, like I said.
There's a way when cities and towns are economically depressed in certain areas, okay, and they want to establish new businesses like a restaurant, okay. That's the reason that they go to the legislature and say, listen, we'd like to get 5 liquor licenses. We're going to put them here. You know where it is? It's in a place where we don't have this business. We want to stimulate the economy. Absolutely, okay? We don't have that here.
I think we do, and that goes to your very first point, which was there's no public need for these licenses.
No.
And I want to say, excuse me, and just let me finish, please.
Sure.
That how many people that live in Easthampton go out of Easthampton to eat and drink on a daily basis? A lot.
Well, wait a minute.
They go to Northampton. Why do they go to Northampton?
Because
there's
food
lots
is
of places
there that they like.
Well, there's food here. There's people that want to serve that
Absolutely.
food here in this town. And they want to serve alcohol with it like they do in Northampton.
You're doing it.
But you're going to try and limit us in that. And I
You've
don't
got
think
a
that's-
seasonal license. That's what we're allowed to give you.
You are also allowed to pass us along to the city council and the state legislature to get a full year-round license.
I've done it.
And this was your idea.
You actually told us let's calm this down.
It's hard to
There's
calm
a
down.
way
It's
to
his
do it.
idea.
But
No,
He was the one that
calm
told us to
down.
take this path.
I'm sorry?
He was the one that told us to take this path. Now he's all of a sudden changed his mind.
No.
I don't understand. I'm failing to understand
It
why
can
this
be
is
done
happening.
in a period of time. Now, listen.
We have the full backing of the state senator, and we have the full backing of the mayor of the town.
So you're going backwards? You need to start here.
We are trying to start here.
But you need to start here.
Okay.
But I did the same thing. I'll be honest with you. I checked to see where the process could be stopped before I went and bothered you guys. I wanted, Mike was on board with it.
It
Janet
can be
was on
stopped
board.
any place along the
Of course.
line. Absolutely.
So I just get my ducks in a row like they got their ducks in a row.
You talking about Northampton, the licenses in Northampton, the thing I have here? Okay. Do you know when that started?
I don't know.
2003. Okay. Did it pass? No. Was it taken up again? Yes. When? 2007. Do you know when it passed? 2008. And do you know why? It takes time to get these things done because you're going outside the law.
I think I remember those hearings. I think Mr. Guerrero was there talking about the expense for his license. I think folks from Packard were there explaining the expense of their license. In Easthampton, there was very little resistance. Mike LaValle and I put up a little bit of resistance when Art Bar went for theirs. We saw that we were the only resistance. That door was open.
Now, Casey, was Whiskers there?
I don't recall.
I do. They were there, yeah.
But those folks put up the money to buy their licenses, and they have advantages with those licenses.
Absolutely.
Those licenses are transferable.
Absolutely. Yeah,
those
right.
licenses can be put up as collateral on loans.
Right.
Our license can be, if we are granted that license, we can't transfer it. We can't put it up as collateral.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's really, it's not. I mean, they pay for that extra to be able to resell it when they're done, and probably out of
my license is transferable to another owner. It has to stay above that location.
Your location.
At the location.
Great.
Which is great.
Yeah. That's all you can ever ask for.
Yeah.
That's what happens with all legislative licenses. They can't
Now it
transfer.
does.
Well, now it does. That's the way they're written now. Yeah.
So ultimately, that legislative license only benefits the business who seeks it.
Succeeds
Us.
and
Directly
succeeds.
benefits us.
Correct.
And the town.
And the town, yes, sorry, and the town. Most definitely the town.
Well, you know, I mean, the problem here is that, from my mind, being on this board, and this is a really difficult issue, is you go, well, what is fair? You know, because who is paid through the nose for the license and who hasn't, you know? And for the board, for the licensing board to just give its green light, and I respect Mr. Sullivan's reluctance on a lot of this because he says, he's trying to protect some of the people who have had to pay through the nose so that we don't just green light it to go to the city council, so that it goes to the mayor, so that it goes to a state rep, so that it goes to the governor, and then you get the green light.
Because when it starts here, all 5 have been approved by the city council, not unanimously, by the mayor and by the legislature.
So unfortunately, we're playing on it's an unfair board right now, It's unfair. Right. And I guess from my point of view, hearing what everyone is saying is that, I don't care if it's unfair. Too bad. Okay, it's unfair, but what's best for the town? That's what I care about. Okay? And I know, personally, this is the way I feel, is that I know that just about any restaurant I go to in Northampton, I can get any drink that I want. And that's a real attraction. And if there's anything we can do to help downtown Easthampton as far as the business community is concerned, it would be to offer the same thing. So, in my mind, I have no problems endorsing their application for an overquota license. That's bottom line for me. And I know, it's going to be unfair to him, because he had a pet.
Not for that one.
But now
it's even. Now it's even. But other people had to pay.
No, but you don't know
Most
that.
people aren't here tonight.
But how can you justify passing him along and then?
He's a restaurateur.
We're not.
Well, that's the problem. Is how do we make it a level playing field?
Let's keep
I
this under control.
I don't know how we make it a level playing field.
He's a restaurateur.
Okay, I don't know.
Then we're not.
Interesting.
Well, you are to a certain extent. I mean, you serve food.
We're
and you
certainly
want to
not the
serve-
restaurant.
Let's not forget one thing.
Yeah.
Let's not forget. We're a citizen board.
Let's start
Okay?
swarm egg.
We're a citizen board. Okay? So please, we volunteer for this. And we try to be fair for everything. Okay? Don't forget that.
I'm not arguing with you whatsoever.
Okay? Sir, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
appreciate it. People just relax. It's all right. It's sorted out. I admire your tenacity, Mr. Sullivan, and constant presence here. But I just don't want. I just want to understand what your position is, and I think that would help everybody else. Okay. If I could just ask you one thing.
Sure.
Are you trying to protect? We're talking about fairness. Protect the interests of folks who have paid through the nose, as you said.
No. Let me tell you what I do.
Okay.
How I grant licenses. The statute authorizing the issuance of liquor licenses speaks in terms of serving the public need and in such a manner as to protect the common good, and to that end to provide, in the opinion of the licensing authority, an adequate number of places at which the public may obtain, in the manner and for the kind of use indicated, the different sorts of beverages for the sale of which provision is made. Need, in the liberal sense of a requirement, is not what the statute is about. Rather, the test includes an assessment of public want and the appropriateness of a liquor license at a particular location. I think above fair is a all alcohol license. Happy to give it to you. Do you know that we had never given them before? That the board had only issued a beer and wine license, seasonal. Karen, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's how we started off with. Actually, our first seasonal was an all alcohol to the log cabin.
Yeah.
Our first seasonal was all alcohol.
Until they got a legislative for.
Right. They received their first seasonal, and then Papa George had a season of beer and wine.
Right. People didn't have all alcohol seasonal licenses. You two are the first. I mean, and
I'm fine on the M7.
there are Nini's on Cottage Street. Okay, across the street, Whiskers.
Amy's.
Well, I don't know if Luthier's is selling, food, but I thought it was a novel idea for the theater to come in with free movies. I thought it was great for a beer and wine license. I'll try it. I hope it works. And then you expand it. So the board granted an all alcohol to be on a sort of a playing level with what was across the street and up the street. Okay? I'm really handcuffed by the state legislature, and maybe something needs to be done with the movement, because Casey, you know how many, there are 12 people looking for licenses. So it's not just here, it's all across the Commonwealth. You got to change that. I'm operating under those guidelines.
So is your position that you feel like enough is enough, and we now need to make stands and have the system change?
Well, no, I think we made some mistakes granting them before. Yeah, Art Bar, to me, I haven't verified that they're only open 2 nights. That's a waste of a license. I think if the ABC, a license gives you, you've seen your license is what your hours of operation are, right?
You were convinced to believe that they were restaurateurs and that they were going to fulfill promises.
No, Casey, let me make that clear to everybody right here, okay? I was always against that, okay? They were people in the massage business. They wanted a license to help offset the payments on their mortgage. I said, we don't grant licenses to help you make your mortgage, okay? This has got to be your profession. I voted against it. I've been against it at all times. 2 licenses were available at that time. We wrote to the state legislature, Marlene, myself, and Steve, telling the chairman, listen, we have 2 licenses that were going to be available for sale. We were against the granting of that legislative license. It was approved by the legislature after we had given initial approval for them to seek it. Not knowing.
Doesn't that give you the indication that the state really doesn't care about?
Well, they don't check it because they agree with what the local licensing authority says, yeah.
Well, that ends up being the bottom line, okay? That there is a process that people can go through to get a legislative license. And all they have to do in the first step is get the approval or the endorsement from the local licensing commission. And that, I think, is the bottom line, what they're looking for. And personally, I don't have a problem with it. And it doesn't sound like you have a problem with it. You have a problem with the whole process.
Yeah.
But there is a process.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why we can't why it would be wrong for us to just endorse it and let them, if they can't get an endorsement from the city council, if they can't get an endorsement from the mayor or from their state representative, well, so be it. But they start with us. And I don't see any reason why we should be an impediment to that. I just don't see it.
Conversely, how would stopping us at this point do anything to change the system?
It wouldn't go any further.
No, for us.
Oh, for
what
you?
would it do for the system? How would it change anything?
Nothing. Nothing.
No.
There's no way to change. You can change that.
And have you just basically changed your mind about this? Felt worse about it in the last few months since you told us to go this route? I mean, if that's what it is.
No, in order to get this economic development thing, they've done it in Greenfield and they've done it in other areas where they got 5 or 6 licenses, but they're tied to specific areas of the city and town to develop more of a business in that area. And then that goes back to the public need, I wish you would try it and see how you really do, and be aware that the licenses. You may have to pay for a license. I mean, I am not really in favor of any overquota licenses. And Casey, I've told you that. I think you got the last one. I told you that. Okay.
Okay.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's what it is. Otherwise, I have to give it to anybody and everybody that comes, and then I'm not. Following what the state.
You're
not
renewing
the license. You just.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've already granted them a license.
Right.
Yes.
I think Bill.
So we've already found it appropriate for them to serve alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
The issue you said.
Okay, let me
Restaurant.
let's try slowing this down.
You define the category.
Probably.
And your problem with Art Bar is that the license went to a massage school who is not. That's not their business.
No,
that's
it
not
isn't.
Their trade.
They told us they were going to move out of there.
Chapman Avenue.
Okay, a mistake is a mistake.
Yeah,
Okay,
Avenue.
call it a mistake. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on from that.
Right. Chapman Avenue wants to be an inn. The problem is the sprinkler system is holding him up.
Yeah.
Mike Bear's a great guy. His brothers,
he came before the board. Yeah.
So these guys are the same as me, and you can't say yes to me and no to them without it looking
We can,
weird.
because we can't just grant it to everybody and anybody that comes in.
Okay, so the reason we granted it to you is you were a brand new business coming in. Right. Okay.
That had a reputation.
Your reputation was good. We could see the growth that we want to not stop anybody from going through. Okay. Popcorn North and Riffs came in asking for, I believe it was a beer and wine license. We did not have one. So to try to work with both places, we says, we don't have a beer and wine, but we will give you an all alcohol. Seasonal all alcohol.
Which is
so that's the difference between you and them. Because you were doing it, they have a license. That we worked with it instead of saying, no, we ain't got it, we can't help you. We bent over backward for you guys to at least get you going. Like I said, I was involved. I talked to the director and legal counsel at the ABC today, and they advised me that the situation on these seasonal liquor licenses right now, what is going on, has to be. It's a political Easthampton type thing. He says they both told me to contact the city attorney and get advice on how to handle this. He says sit down, tell him what your situation, and let him make a decision of how you people act. And the way I look at it, that's the way I'm gonna go. I mean, I'm doing by legal counsel. Okay, maybe not our legal counsel, but the ABC, Bill Kelly, who they they're the main people.
The problem with that is that there is a specific procedure in place in order to get a legislative license.
I understand that.
And the only impediment to them going forward is us not endorsing it.
I understand
And I see
that.
no reason why, if we've already endorsed them to have seasonal licenses, why we wouldn't endorse them to have full liquor licenses.
Jason,
and that's why we're here right now.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
2.5 months.
That's
I
why
can't-
we're
I
talking. That's
can't-
what we're talking about.
I can't say I'm not going to divorce it. Enforce it. I think they have a great idea to do. I would like to do it.
Can I suggest that you endorse it with the recommendation that City Council reviews the recommendation of the City Council or the City Attorney?
Absolutely.
So just
Review it with the City Council
so that way
first.
it moves the process tonight. They don't have to wait another month to go through this scenario.
Absolutely. That's
So
what I'm trying to say.
it's tied in with the recommendation of the ABCC.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Casey, the thing is, once we give the approval, you know, it goes all the way.
Yeah, but
They've never
okay,
done
no, it doesn't.
It's never been denied.
Okay, when
Never been
I was
denied.
getting a variance.
You're
And is
saying
that a
lawyer
problem?
will...
Yeah, I don't
you're
understand
saying
why it's
lawyer
a problem
will-
if it gets approved. What's,
That's not a problem.
why is that a problem?
Jason can
We have to give it to everybody, and I mean, you can't. I mean, anybody comes in for a license for any reason, a theater, for instance.
Let the market decide who's
Billy,
and who's
Change the
don't.
law.
Billy.
Change the law.
We can't
Two
change the law.
people aren't going to change this law.
Billy,
Why not?
I'll give you an example.
Well, he'll give you 12 names down in the Boston area that can help
All right,
start a petition.
So Billy, I was looking for a variance to get my land divided
Yeah.
so I can get a building permit for a non-conforming lot. Jason and the rest of the planning board listened to my plea. They were agreeing with it, and then they got a letter from Stuart Beckley saying because it's a non-conforming lot, the planning board recommends that they don't approve it. At that point, they shelved the request and asked that I clean it up with the planning board. I went and saw the planning board. I showed Stuart exactly what I was looking to do. I met with the planning board. They suggested I make one of the apartments affordable housing. I went ahead and did that. They gave their approval. I went back to the the zoning board. They gave me the approval. So same thing. You put a condition with it that it gets approval from the city lawyer. And then it can be stopped at
The
city
city
council.
lawyer's got nothing to do with this. This is up to
Well, that's
the...
what the ABCC was saying. That's
Well, it starts with us. You need to have approval from this board.
It does start with us.
Yeah.
But this, when I talked, I know the fourth steps, us, city council,
Mayor?
the mayor,
Legislature.
legislature.
Yep.
Okay. Seeing that we've already did what they wanted us to work, gave them a seasonal. The liquor license, if we give you guys an all alcohol legislative license, technically all that is going to do is give you 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to go.
So we don't have to lay people off and we don't have to close for 2.5 months.
And still pay rent on a space we're not utilizing.
And insurance, and workers'
Insurance
compensation.
and workers'
Well, can't you cancel the insurance if you don't have the alcohol?
No, you have to
Why?
carry it for a
Why?
year.
Why? The insurance company won't let you do that?
No,
Yeah.
not for liquor liability. It's,
You don't have liquor liability for 2 months, do you?
you have to carry it for a year.
Why?
State mandated.
It's not fair that the insurance companies do that.
It's not fair that this board stops us from going forward with it.
Oh, you have an all alcohol license now.
For 9.5 months.
Absolutely. And you had a beer and wine.
No, we did not.
Oh, you didn't. That's right. You had the beer and wine.
And
Okay.
we came to this board looking for the
You
available
got the
alcohol
same
license.
thing. You got the
And it was
same
given to an
thing.
Indian restaurant.
Now wait a minute. You
Wasn't
got
able
the
to stop.
same thing that they got, an all alcohol seasonal license, which this board can give out without any legislative, city council, or mayoral approval.
And this board can also just endorse our plan
Yeah.
to go through and get it
Overquota?
to an
Yeah.
overquota
Yeah.
license, just like
And
it's
and you know
endorsed
where
to
I
other
stand on
businesses.
overquota licenses. I am again.
You're obviously for them since you said okay to Casey, you said okay to the art bar and all that, all
Yeah,
those other folks. I don't,
Look how it's worked out.
but that's their problem. The market
Well,
chose,
yeah.
they don't know how to run a bar. The market is going to weed those people out. And even if they fail, that's not reflecting on you that you gave them a chance to succeed.
And those licenses disappear.
Yeah, they go
if the
away.
business disappears.
So, you know, I mean,
I wish you both luck. I hope that you really succeed in what you
it's
have
unfortunate that we weren't in business when licenses became available, nor had the money to purchase a license. But now we have brought our business to Easthampton. We want to grow in Easthampton. We want to serve this community, and this is the way that we think we can do it. And we just need your blessing.
I think we've given you the opportunity. This is what you know. You've got an all alcohol seasonal license.
They're asking you for more, and you put it to a vote, and it goes or it doesn't, I guess.
Karen, yes.
I kind of want to be sensitive about this. When is going to take it to a hearing?
Okay, what do I do?
Okay, so I don't know if you're aware of that.
Raise them into the hearing.
Okay.
So,
Speak up, but don't yell.
know about how much.
You don't want me to yell?
No, I don't think you should yell.
No, my concern is the discussions. Like,
all right.
Has he
well,
been...
at this point, it seems to me that, I mean, we're at an impasse, and that it's in my opinion that the board needs to act in some way to either endorse or not endorse each applicant's idea to get a out-of-quota license. Am I wrong here?
No, that has to come about eventually, but what about this? Why don't we put this over till next month? There's going to be some, hopefully, reporting in the newspaper. And maybe we should have a meeting and let the public speak.
Your face.
Let the public speak.
Excuse me, sir, as a point of the public speak, if you look in our file for our multiple applications for licenses, you'll see letters from all of the neighboring businesses. We've had support from multiple business owners.
That's why we gave
you a petition of 500 people.
500 signatures. That's why we gave you a seasonal all-alcohol license.
Bill,
let's see how the public feels about over-quota license.
You know what might be interesting? Because if they go for the over-quota license, it may not even come through until after the period that they can't serve. So it may be a moot point. If it can come before the January 15th date for approval, then that's great for them. But it may be that, so what is it here? It's the first week in September.
Senator Sybeck thinks there's a great chance to get it pushed through before the end of before the end of the session, but we have to act now.
That's my point. If it seems like it can't happen before their break, then it's moot. But my perception is, because this went through so quickly, the same thing could happen for them, and they won't have to shut down for those 10 weeks. And like I said to you before, I would not have bought that building if I had a season.
I would not want to take a vote tonight. I really would wait until ask you to come back in October. We get some publicity on this. Let's have.
Billy, I think that's silly.
The
problem is that what is the public going to say? I was on the planning board, and I always say that I was on the planning board for 11 years. Blah blah blah.
And I heard every year that you were on. I read it in the paper.
Yeah,
the public votes with their dollars.
And the public on this kind of topic are going to say this is a no-brainer. Okay.
Then do you want
businesses to
you could put it to rest right now.
Absolutely will. I make a motion that we endorse that the. Let me start. Do you have the minutes, Karen, in front of you, so I can make it official?
Ray, can you hear this?
I can hear it, but before we make motion.
Well, I'm going to make a motion, and you can table it if you'd like.
All right, then I'm going to table it already because I'm not done talking.
Call for a vote.
You want the minutes or?
Yeah, the minutes. No, I'm sorry, the agenda.
All right, let's call for a vote on this.
When he's going to make a motion?
I'm going to make a motion.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. So I make a motion that the Easthampton Licensing Board endorses Riff's joint application for an out-of-quota license. That's a motion. Do I have a second?
What was that again, Tom, please?
He doesn't have his hearing.
All right, sorry. I would make a motion that the Easthampton Licensing Board recommends to the City Council a out-of-quota license for Riff's joint.
Do I have a second?
Are you gonna second that, Ray?
No, I'm not, because I'm not done talking.
Okay.
Now I agree 100% with these people.
Okay, so the motion fails?
It does?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go now with,
No, he wants to keep talking,
Oh.
so.
Where it was brought up about reading this thing, and I'm not saying anything about the way it was read. It says request for a change of seasonal all alcohol restaurant license to an annual all alcohol restaurant license, which we're doing. But it doesn't say anything about an over-quoted license, a legislative license.
Well, that's the way we will write it into our recommendation. And they can't do it. That's the only way it's going to be. I mean, I know you're trying to dot your I's, cross your T's. I get that, okay?
Yeah.
But the only way they're going to get this license is it to be an over-quota license. And the only way they can do it is go through us as a recommendation, go to the city council, recommendation, go to the mayor, recommendation, go to their state representative, send it to the governor. I mean, there's no ambiguity here, really.
Okay, so why can't we table it until next month? Get it on.
Well, why does it need to be tabled?
Well,
I'm not done, and I'll tell you why.
No, I think if he doesn't have a second to the motion, I think that the thing is dead. And
I agree.
Okay, so there's no second to the motion. So there's nothing before the board to act on.
Well, there's still discussion.
There's not a second to the motion.
You can have discussion before a second.
How do you do that without a motion?
I made a motion, it wasn't seconded.
Right.
So we can have
So
discussion.
usually when you make a motion and it's seconded, it's open for discussion.
All right.
Ray, why won't you endorse it?
Can you hear?
I'm just asking why you would not endorse the motion that we just go to the next step with your approval. They can even say, subject to approval of the city attorney. But it's imperative that we act today so we can possibly get this through before we have to shut down our newly constructed bar. And
because
Yeah, Bill, the question was asked.
All right.
I am for you, okay? Because like I said, I do not want her any business. But I think this should wait just a month and put it on the agenda. It's for a legislative license. If it was on a legislative license, we can tell people, hey, look it. It was posted on the agenda. If you that's tough if you didn't show up to say anything. That's why I'm making a motion that we just put it off next month with it being a legislative license. If there's no one there, I don't have a problem siding with that at all.
so what are you expecting the public to come in and do? Are you expecting the public to come in and voice opposition that another restaurant has a...
No, I'm also going by, like I said before, the conversation with the director of the ABC and the legal counsel. That it goes to, it's not an ABC issue, it's a city issue. We have no guidelines whatsoever, and they said, talk to your city council and see how they want it to handle. And that's what I want to do. If I'm getting that kind of information, I'm not going to take information from anybody, just the board, the mayor, or anything, or I will, the mayor, but I'm talking about someone that has experience in it to make sure we're, like Jason says, dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
So these previous instances of this going through, though, was there any issues that came up that you're worried about now? I mean, it seems like there was a pretty smooth transition for Casey to go through and get his. I don't understand now why there's all of a sudden a worry that you're not doing something right or something's going to go wrong or that you're
I think
doing
I
something.
explained that already. That with Casey, when he came in to do his, he was a brand new business, and we says, yeah, we endorse the legislative license. This time now, is you guys came in for a beer and wine license. We didn't have one.
We came in for an
You came in for an
all-alcohol
alcohol.
license, which you did have.
Okay, an all alcohol. I thought you guys came in for a beer and wine.
No, we didn't. We actually came in for a full alcohol license.
Okay, we
plans
didn't
drawn
have
up
that.
to build a bar that we're trying to build.
Actually, that's half.
Oh, okay. You just told me which one it was. Okay.
The establishment that was just...
So we were just asking for the same chance to succeed that you gave Gloria of India. You gave Gloria of India your full endorsement for this license that they didn't have to pay $30,000 for.
Yeah.
We're just asking that you give us and Popcorn Noir the same chance to succeed in this town.
In very tough economic times, with large staffs and businesses that are fighting every day to compete with Northampton businesses. All we want is an equal ground so that we can run our operations year-round and serve the community. That's what this is. That's what this letter is. That's all your endorsement is helping businesses grow
If you
in the town
delay
of
today,
Easthampton.
you in effect make it so that we're not going to have it this year. Absolutely.
I didn't say that. Now, from what I understand, you already talked to Representative Syback?
Yes.
Well, like Casey said, it's prudent to check ahead and make sure that you're going to be able to process the rest of it before you take the first step. So of course we do.
And he's very excited. He wants to get it through before the end of the session, before the end of the year, so that we don't have to close down on January 15th because of some archaic Massachusetts law.
Oh, yeah.
He also
Which
told-
everybody agrees that Massachusetts liquor laws are out of date, archaic.
No.
Now, who says that now?
Everybody, anybody you talk to. I mean, the whole quota system, nobody really knows what it's for, why it exists, or the purpose of the quota system. You let the free market decide who succeeds, who doesn't succeed.
Have they been successful?
Who?
Them. That they who say it.
Been successful, what, getting the laws changed?
Yeah.
Not yet. But we're not asking you to change the law, we're just asking you to endorse us so we can move forward.
You know, I've got a couple of articles, editorials by newspapers that talk about that, changing the quota system. It's archaic. Yeah, you're right. But even then, when it comes out, nothing happens. And usually those editorials in newspapers carry some time of weight, you know, with the people's public.
Part of it is the economic force behind that, and it's like the Boston licenses go for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
True.
And so, you know, the Mass Restaurant Association is a member of restaurateurs, so they have a lobbying power to say, hey, reel it in, because they're supported by their members, the restaurateurs, who have invested a lot of money. So they want to retain that value of those licenses. So it's, you know, it's that political tug of war, and it's
in case that we're in the same spot.
Yeah, no, it's a tough spot to be in, and I think with this community, you don't have the resistance. You know, Coco, they're not here crying poor mouth over the fact that you said they paid for their licenses. Believe me, they may have paid for the license, but they didn't pay for the equipment. You know, so, you know what I mean? There aren't other people here. Mike Valley was here to protest. Maybe Whiskers was here to protest the art park, but nobody else. You know, the pizza people, they bought a license from Zoe's. Honestly, the pizza places need the all-alcohol license, and I think our view, we said no. But they bought it. They chose to buy it. They're not here protesting the value. They're selling alcohol. They have something that's theoretically transferable. They're not upset about it. So, in different communities, it may have different value. Here, I think the value is that we all want to see prosper and growth. And we don't want to have to go to other towns and communities because this town is shut down on Sunday and Mondays because there are not enough establishments open up. Northampton does. We want to be Northampton. We want to have goods and services so other people come from outside our community that support us. You know, Jordy Harold from Greenfield, he said they should give me a medal for the business value that I gave Easthampton 10 years ago for equipment. I don't see it that way. I saw it as an opportunity. I saw this city was extremely helpful for me to open my business. And when Chamber of Commerce was getting all upset about the mayor's race and how the city is not business friendly, I was pulling what little hair out because It couldn't be any further from the truth. I am no longer a member of the Chamber of Commerce because I don't believe their view. I think the city is nothing but accommodating for me. What? You know what I mean? It's like, and you have been to them. Oh, but you know, but it, you know what I mean? It's like, why should the city stop being accommodating to businesses? We're not like the other
Well,
cities.
Casey, the only point I disagree with you is, you know, I think we've accommodated them to a certain extent, you know. And I wish we could do more. I wish I could do more. I'm not going to speak for the board. I wish I could do more, but I'm going to go by the statute.
You could second it and then vote.
No.
Second and vote against it.
No.
I'm ready to make another motion, but if it sounds like it's not going to go anywhere, I'm not going to do it. And if that's the case, then I make a motion that we close the meeting.
And why don't we put them on the agenda for October?
Sick of hearing about it because I'm really annoyed by it.
You want to put it on the agenda for October?
It didn't do
We should put it on the agenda for September.
Right, you want to?
Yeah, but it didn't have anything about a legislative
No,
license.
great, that's okay. No, we're all set. We're done.
We're done. And I think, and I'll tell you, I'm sorry for the way this is going, because
You have a choice to make another decision
Yeah,
tonight.
just
I know I do.
just second the motion and vote yes. I mean, what's the?
Oh, I could, but I can make a motion and vote no, too.
But why would you?
That's right. That's why I talked. My advice was to talk to the city council. Now, what is so wrong with
That's
them?
what we would do next.
The city solicitor.
That's where we would go next.
Involved.
I'm sorry, the city attorney.
No, he's talking about the city solicitor. He's talking about Jack Fitzgibbon.
The city and
We don't need Jack Fitzgibbon involved.
lawyer.
We already know what the procedure is. The procedure is in place.
What we built in
All
the same city.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
I'm going to...
Sorry, I have a quick question. There's been some question over public support. Would you like to see public support at the next meeting?
No, there's no reason to. There's nothing before us now.
Is this going to be on the agenda for the?
You know,
Did you want to
there's
put
nothing
it on the
before us. There's
agenda?
been no motion.
Yeah.
Motion, nothing seconded.
Yeah,
nothing
it's going on next week.
What's going on the agenda?
So what happens
Because I'm
next?
not.
I asked you and you said why, so we don't need to.
Well, it was on today's agenda, and
Yeah.
you refused to, so you're just blackballing the
Ray
process?
Ray wants it on the agenda
Great.
next
Wonderful.
month with legislative, what did you say, Ray?
I want it on it. It's a
How did it not get on the agenda this time?
It was on the agenda.
It's on.
What?
It
one
was
more-
publicly
I'm sorry, Ray.
advertised.
No,
on
it's
the
on for a,
legislative license.
no, it's on for,
Okay.
So where do we go? What happens next?
We're following your advice. on doing
No,
this.
no, no.
You
Don't follow
understand
my-
that, don't you?
No.
But this is what we're doing.
No.
When we got,
You have
turned
right
down
now,
for the other
you have an
license,
all alcohol seasonal license.
which you said you would flip over to a
They're not
full
gonna vote.
license. You would
There is a
only
way of
enforce that.
doing it.
And we're trying to do it. You were stopping us from doing that.
No,
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely stopping us.
So what do we do next? I'm sorry, I might be the only person that doesn't understand. What is the next step for us? Because I am,
Well, there's nothing
Coming
before
back.
us now. There was a motion that was made that wasn't seconded. There was discussion about putting it on the
There
agenda.
was never a
for the-
motion made for them, actually. That was just.
I don't even think we've had a motion to adjourn.
Oh, yeah, no.
I made one.
He made one.
Okay, so-
Fell on the same day.
It's for everybody that we're gonna put it on there.
But we'll be back next month, is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's not gonna be like this.
Yeah, right.
Well, whether you wanna say, well, yeah, right, or what.
So why did, Ray,
I
what-
wanna make sure I know what is the proper procedure on that.
This is the proper
After that
procedure.
conversation I had today,
This is a
I'm gonna go
procedure
by
done
that.
by hundreds of other businesses in this state over the last 10 years,
yeah, I know that.
Same
I probably
procedure.
approved 80 of them.
which you're, no.